Once in the summer, close to evening, a boy named John was walking in his yard and playing soccer with his buddy. But John's friend after a while hurried home. His mom called him for dinner. Now John was alone on the playground because the time was almost 10 p.m. and the other boys had already gone home. The boy played the ball a little longer and headed for his house. He was not afraid to go alone, because even at such a late hour it was quite light outside. But when John passed near the open cellar, he saw how in the gap between the wall and the door glittered unexplained flashes. He was very puzzled and interested, but it was still scary to go down into the dark basement. The most interesting thing was that the flashes appeared at regular intervals. First one flash appeared and slowly faded, and after a few seconds you could see the next flash, as if someone had organized a photo shoot in this place. John stood near the door to the basement for a while, but he didn't dare to go in, and soon headed home. The boy did not tell his parents about this incident, and going to bed late at night, even managed to forget about the strange incident. But 2 days after this evening walk, he learned the terrible news. It turns out that someone brutally massacred one girl who lived in John's yard. Unknown maniac cut off the unfortunate child's head in the basement and cut her body into many pieces. The police arrived, began to sort things out, interviewing witnesses, finding out if anyone saw any suspicious people, but nothing useful was learned. John, of course, told the police about the strange flashes in the basement, but they didn't pay much attention to it and scolded the boy, asking him not to interfere with the investigation. John was offended because he was sure that these flashes are somehow connected with the terrible death of the girl, but what to do, he did not know. A few days later, the boy went to an Aikido class that ended at 8 p.m. John's parents told him not to stay late and come home right after training, in connection with the recent tragedy, but the boy did not listen and decided to go to visit his friend for a while to play with him on the console. When the boys had played enough games on the console, it was getting late. John quickly got dressed, said goodbye to his friend, and hurried to his home. The boy, walking along the road to the house, constantly turned around, and sometimes even went to a light jog. He was afraid of the maniac who had killed the girl in the basement. John had almost reached his driveway, but then the boy again saw strange flashes behind the door leading to the basement. It was a completely different basement, but it was not far from the basement where the girl had died. John was again very scared, but this time curiosity overcame fear, and turning on the flashlight on his phone, the boy cautiously entered the basement. Almost immediately he saw the reason for the strange flashes. There was a camera on the concrete slab, which every few seconds took a photo with a flash. At this time it was getting very light, and you could see the whole basement even without the light of a flashlight. John began to walk slowly towards the stove, wanting to take the camera for himself, and the question still running through his mind was, where did the camera come from? And why would someone leave it here for such a strange endeavor? Very soon the boy found out the answer to his question. When John was about to approach the camera, he noticed something flashed quickly in the broken mirror that stood near the wall. The boy turned around and was horrified, because behind him, just a few steps away, was a huge and scary man with an axe. In another flash, one could see all the anger and hatred that was reflected in the eyes of the mad maniac. The killer swung the axe, but John at the last moment had time to bounce aside, and the blow came on the camera and it shattered. The boy darted toward the exit, miraculously avoiding bumping into the basement pipes in the darkness, and jumped out. The maniac rushed in pursuit of his victim, and soon the two of them were running down the street. Fortunately, John ran into two men who saved him from an unenviable fate and neutralized the dangerous criminal. It later turned out that this maniac was preying on children, luring them into the basement with the help of a camera. The killer would place the camera in a prominent place, turn on the flash, set it to automatic shooting mode, and attack his victims from behind. He was sentenced to life imprisonment for this, and no more children were killed in this city.